Joining me now, Kira Davis, future governor of California, apparently, but current editor, Red State. Kira, why do you want to run for governor as a woman?
I just want to run for governor as a human being, to be honest. As a woman, I'd love to run for governor because I'd love to see the inside of the governor's mansion. As a human being, someone in this state needs to step up for the people. You know, it looks like this recall is at least going to go to a ballot, and already we've got people throwing their hats in the ring, and unfortunately, it's just kind of the same old. I'm starting to get frustrated, Jesse. I don't know who is speaking for the people here anymore.
Kira, first of all, lay out the recall thing for us, for those of us who don't understand how it works, who don't understand what's necessary. I think you've done this before, but I want people to understand how close this is. Explain what's happening out there.
We are in the process of collecting about 1.5 million signatures to trigger a ballot measure to recall Gavin Newsom. So that means basically we'll just do a special election here. We'll see if the voters really want to recall him. We need about, I think the legal trigger point is 1.2 million signatures. We have 1.4 million signatures. And I know the group that's running the recall campaign is looking for another 100 to 200,000 signatures before March 1st, just to beat some of the signatures that'll have to be trashed. Inevitably, you know, sometimes people sign twice or they don't fill out the paperwork properly. Of course, signing a recall petition is very convoluted and much more complicated than it should be. So it does require some extra steps that, you know, it's certainly there are 1.6 million people in this state that want to recall Gavin. Getting those signatures legally is another story.
Okay. So, Kira, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up here. I think everybody in the country would love to see Gavin Newsom recalled. Is this one of those things where, all right, they have the signatures, but the system's just going to find a way to nullify a bunch of them, and we're all going to be left disappointed in the end and crying in our hands?
It could be, yes, because the Secretary of State is in charge, I think, of some of this stuff, and that was a position he appointed. So because the old Secretary of State went to, I think, the state legislature, so the position was open this last go-round. So that's somebody he's appointed. I mean, it's an uphill battle, not just by numbers-wise, but we're working against the Sacramento machine. So, yeah, California government will pull all kinds of shenanigans. We have no doubt about that. So it's going to be a nail-biter. But honestly, I do think that this recall is on its way to being on the ballot. And if it doesn't get to the ballot, that's shenanigans.
Okay. Are you seriously, in all seriousness, are you seriously thinking about throwing your hat in the ring? I need to know.
I'm seriously thinking about it. I cannot commit to anything until my family's on board. And right now, everyone's pretty hesitant about it. So right now, I'm just making a lot of noise and seeing what interest is out there, poking at some of my contacts. And honestly, I'd be just as happy if I could spur someone, either someone who's already in the race to just punch it up a bit, or someone really exciting to get in the race. Because, you know, the other day, one of our main candidates is a guy named John Cox. He ran and lost against Governor Newsom last time. He didn't run a great campaign. He's running again. And when we got new recall signature numbers, and they were huge, the first thing he did wasn't come out and say, Gavin Newsom, your time is up, or we're coming for you, or whatever. The first thing he did was come out on Twitter and attack his potential Republican opponent. So it's like the recall hasn't even passed yet, and these guys are already starting to elbow each other for room on the state stage. No, we need to get rid of Newsom first. We need to get this vote to the ballot first, and then we can play these election games. There's no election right now, so I was really disappointed with that.
Is the California GOP, because they're out of power, Are they bad or are they really good? I've always been curious how that works in states where they're, you know what I mean? It can go either way. Either they're just like, screw it, I'm never going to win, no need to try, or they become really, really, really sharp trying to break off whatever they can.
It's a complicated combination, Jesse. I know we like to make fun of the California GOP. I am no a fan of the California GOP. In the past, it's been calculated. I do believe they're fine being the losers. There is some influence in loser status, right? But the other thing that happened is they just got complacent and the consultant class took over, because you have to understand that the California GOP has zero support from the federal GOP, from the national GOP, none. They've abandoned us just a lot of the way the GOP, if you will allow me the liberty, has abandoned black voters, because the GOP feels like we're never going to win this demographic, right? They're lost to us. We don't need to be making any extra efforts. It's just a waste of money. That's how they have treated black voters in the past, with, fair arguments to be made about why the GOP feels that way. But they do the same with California. They don't give California GOP any support. There's no financial support. There's rarely any election support. And that's because they feel like, well, if we're going to put our money somewhere, we're not going to put it in a blue state like California. But there are real inroads to be made here now, because people are so upset about so much, and it crosses the political divide. So the GOP is starting to rebuild here. There are a couple of people who have taken leadership in the GOP that I have great hopes for and kind of get it. And we'll just see if they can crack through the swamp machine in Sacramento. We'll see.
Kira, what do you make of Liz Cheney getting put right back in her position? I said that's just how politics is, that a lot of people owe her favors, so they did a secret vote so nobody would have to own their yes vote for Cheney, but she's done a lot of favors for a lot of congressmen, and that's why people stay in power.
Yeah, it's politics. I think Liz Cheney will be held to account by her voters. That's how I feel about Marjorie Taylor Greene, too. I don't pay much mind to her. I know there's a lot of talk going around, Liz Cheney versus MTG, and what do we want the Republican Party to look like, and who do we want to be the face of conservative? The Republican Party doesn't speak for me, so I don't really give a rip who is, the face of whatever. I do think that this is all much ado about nothing. Do I think MTG is kind of crazy? Yeah, absolutely. Do I think her voters will decide if she's too crazy for them? Yes, they will. It's not up to us to decide who gets to keep their position in D.C. We did decide. We sent the people we voted. We sent the people there that we vote for. And then if they act crazy and we don't like them, we vote for somebody else next time around. So I don't think this is the purview of the GOP. And yeah, it is politics as usual. Liz Cheney will face her voters, and they'll decide if they like what she's done or not. And no one else should have a say.
Why doesn't the GOP, the DC GOP, get that? They don't get how bad it looks when they step in.
Because they live inside the Beltway culture. They are saturated in it. It's another bubble. The GOP in D.C. are no different from Democrats in D.C. in the fact that D.C. is its own culture. It's infected water, and people have learned how to survive in that ecosystem. So it seems normal. So to them, this is just business as usual. They don't see that, there's no end to it. Like, MTG is cuckoo. I get it. But there's no end to it. Once you start playing these games of like, oh, well, this person seems a little iffy, we're going to fire them against the will of the people, it doesn't stop with her. To the left, everybody right of center is an MTG, and they make no distinctions, as we've seen since January 6th.
Kira Davis, go read her stuff, everybody. Thank you, Kira. Good luck.
Thanks, Jesse. Take care.